Module 2 of the red, which is the GMRC teacher. It's not reading, it's reaching. It's my dad. I give you that. The GMRC teacher reaching out to others. Now, this whole module to discuss on how are we going, as we as a teacher, will be able to reach out not just to your students but in the whole community as well. Now, next slide. And lesson 1, we have making meaningful connections. When we say meaningful connections, what comes in your mind when you hear this one? Everyone. Meaningful connections. Yes, Jessie.
Yes, X. Oh.
I think meaningful connections. I think if you're a teacher, you get to relate to your students. You have to be connected with them through either emotionally or connected emotionally. You can relate to their experiences.
Thank you. So, how are we going to make connections with the students and their parents and the community? Let us answer that with this lesson 1. Next. But before that, let us be reminded by our learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, the student must be able to read letter A. Everybody.
Value the uniqueness of each person.
B.
Accept and respect the differences and similarities of people. Discuss the value of diversity in the classroom.
Next.
Explain tips on how to celebrate learners' diversity and inclusivity in the classroom.
Okay. Now let's dive into our lesson. For lesson 4, lesson 1. Next slide. Principle of individual variation. Have you heard this one before?
Not yet.
Principle of individual variation. The principle of individual variation, I will give you an example. Who among here are siblings? None? We didn't have any siblings here. So how about relatives? Brian and Yuri. So please stand up, please.
Hello.
Yuri. Ano relationship niyo po?
Cousins.
Your cousins. So, Yuri, can you describe yourself?
Good boy.
Your physical, your attributes, or anything that you can say to yourself. Another.
Tall.
Tall.
Yes.
Okay. Or please remain standing. Okay, Brian, can you describe yourself? Say anything about yourself.
I am tall.
You are tall.
I am fat.
Then you are fat. Now, Yuri, what can you say that you have in yourself that Brian doesn't have? That expression, okay lang. This is the uniqueness of Yuri. How about you, Brian? What is something with you that Yuri doesn't have?
That's not correct.
That's the question. That's the correct. It's really Brian. So the principle of individual variation is no two persons are exactly alike. Even though there are types of person like identical twins, no, they share the same womb with their parents. They share equal or kumbaga pareho sila ng mukha. But if given a respective stimuli, no, kanang kumbaga situation in a given situation, for example, these two. Let us imagine that Miss Moreno and Miss Leia is an identical twin. If they walk through a dark place and they see a snake, maybe their kumbaga yung responses nila is magkakaiba. Either Miss Moreno will run away and Miss Leia will find a stick to beat the snake, no? So that is the principle of individual variation. Kahit kumbaga yung magkakapatid, magka-relatives, they are different from each other. There are still difference. Maybe may pagkakapareho sila, pero as we individuals, we are unique for ourselves. We are unique. Then try to imagine. Close your eyes, everyone. I want you to imagine right now. You are now a professional teacher handling grade 4 classroom. Do not pick everyone. So I want you to imagine right now. You are handling grade 4 class. You are a professional teacher. You are handling 40 students. What do you expect with that?
Noisy.
Noisy. Another.
Fun.
Fun. How about their personality?
Hyper.
Hyper. They are hyper. So, what and are those students are kumbaga pare-pareho lamang ba sila?
No.
No, they're not pare-pareho. So that's what we call next slide. So that's what we call diversity. Everybody read diversity.
Diversity is everything that makes people different from each other.
So diversity, it is everything that makes kumbaga, kung yung principle of individual variation sa isang tao lang compare sa isang tao, diversity, it is the kumbaga pagkakaiba ng person to person to person. Kumbaga dito sa ating classroom, di ba? We are a diverse students. Some of us have different religion. Some of us have different beliefs. Some of us have different hair colors. Some of us have different skin tone. But we as a diverse learners, we must adhere, kumbaga, the learning and the knowledge that we must learn from this institution. So, next slide please. Now we have the different types of diversity. The first one, everybody read.
Diversity in terms of personal characteristics. This covers age, gender, communication styles, socioeconomic background, and personality.
Wait lang. So, diversity in terms of personal characteristics. This, kung sa isang classroom, no, kung ina-imagine natin na mayroong 40 students, there are this kind of diversity in their personal characteristics. We have those students na kumbaga hindi nag-enroll sa ALS, kumbaga mas matanda sila kaysa sa normal na age for that year level. Then we have this communication skills. Some of the students have good communication skills while the others are those very silent students na kumbaga kung hindi siya gagalaw, hindi siya magsasalita. Then we have the economic background. This ma'am and sir is very kumbaga based on my experience on our malayong paaralan before, if the economic background of the student, kumbaga pag mayaman ka, there are privileges from some of your teachers na ibibigay sa'yo, which is very mali. No? Maling-mali talaga. Then, next one. Second, we have diversity in terms of cognitive aptitude to cover cognitive abilities, technical abilities, and skills, as well as social and skills. No, when dealing with this one, what type of approach really suits for this type of diversity? Anong pinaka the best na para ma-cope up natin yung iba't ibang cognitive abilities ng isang students? What do you think? Yes, Brian?
The teacher must use the differentiated instruction to cater the diverse needs of the student.
Correct. No? So the best way to cater this one is the differentiated instruction. Because, for example, like Mr. Lloyd said, if a student is good at creating poems, let them create poems using that is related to your topic. If that student is good at singing and good at writing songs, then let them write and create their song. So that is how to cope up with this type of diversity. Next one, we have diversity in terms of student background. This have to do with culture, ethnicity, language, political beliefs, social class, and religion. No? As what I said earlier, now if we will be deployed to remote places, we can encounter like different languages, different ethnic cultures that are present in their localities, but as in our locality doesn't hindi natin na-experience yun. Kaya as teachers, we must kumbaga adapt to them. We must adapt to the community and we must adapt to the learning needs of the classroom. Aside from that, it is also the responsibility of the children, of the teacher, to have the kind of mindset for everybody in the class. Di lang pwede na si teacher lang yung nakakaintindi sa religious background ng student na to. Di lang pwede na si teacher lang ang nakaka-understand sa social beliefs or sa political beliefs ng student na to. Kundi lahat dapat ng estudyante kailangan irespeto yung kanya-kanyang paniniwala ng kanyang kapwa estudyante. Are we clear?
Yes, teacher.
Next slide. Next, we have diversity in terms of level of motivation and diversity of opinion. Now, lucky for us here in the Philippines that we are a religious country. But for example, in the United States, they are Christians and the atheists, which kumbaga two different opposing ideas, no, and opinions. If one will say na, ay, abortion is good, abortion is inana, ganito. So, then the other one will say na, ay, based on the Bible, it is not good. So, lucky for us that we are a kumbaga, Christian country na yung pinaka main na pinagderebatihan natin dito sa kumbaga hindi natin pinagkakaintindihan is that kumbaga ang ganito ba dapat yung pag-handle natin sa students and their opinions. Kumbaga, kung mayroon mang pagkakaiba ng opinion ng mga students, hindi yun gaano ka, kumbaga, masyadong sensitive. Kailangan lang natin to let them understand na, ay, ganito dapat. We should respect his opinion. Kung hindi siya kumakain ng baboy, let us respect her. No, ganun ba? Ganun ang klase ng diversity na ito. Next slide, please. The faulty assumptions of diversity. Ito yung mga maling paniniwala na ating pwedeng ma-encounter when we enter teaching world, especially in our respective classrooms. First, we have students are not diverse. As I've said earlier, that a classroom consists of a diverse learner. Kung meron man silang learners may share similarities, but this doesn't mean that they are alike in all aspects. There are students na pareho sila na magaling sa math, but some of those, pero pwedeng yung isa mag-excel pa sa English, yung isa naman mag-excel pa sa science. Hindi porket na kung ang isa magaling sa sports, tapos yung isa magaling din sa sports, kailangan silang dalawa magaling din sa science. Kumbaga, all students are diverse. Hindi pare-pareho yung learning needs nila, hindi pare-pareho yung intellectual capabilities nila, and we as a teacher, we must adapt on how are we going to teach that kind of learners. Next one. The diversity doesn't matter because everyone is diverse. This assumption surfaces when diversity discussion stops at the idea that everyone is different. Kung sa unang faulty assumption, sinasabi na ang mga students are not diverse. Dito naman sinasabi na ay hindi naman kailangan yung intindihin yung diversity kasi lahat naman tayo is magkakaiba. Which is mali pa rin. Kailangan pa rin natin, we need to understand the diversity of our students so that we can create, we can make on our lesson plans on how are we going to teach them really well that suits for their needs and understanding. Na kung hindi nila gusto yung pinakikinggan nila, hindi sila makikinig. Kung malayo sa hilig nila yung ginagawa mong discussion is hindi din sila makikinig at learning mahirap magkaroon ng isang learning ang isang bata. Next one. So, everyone stand please. Everyone stand. Clap your hands 10 times. Yung seems kamubon kasi. And yes. No? So, now, these are the ways to promote equity and diversity inside the classroom. First, we have self-awareness. You, as a teacher, you must be aware of yourself, of who you are. Because if you are not aware of yourself, how are you going to know your students well if you don't know yourself? So, self-awareness, if you're highly self-aware, you can objectively evaluate yourself, manage your emotions, align your behavior with your values, and understand correctly how others perceive you. No? So, if you are aware, kung aware ka sa kung sino ka talaga, then you will easily manage yourself, your emotions. You will not be carried away with those, kumbaga, meron kasi yung ganitong scenario ay na yung teacher na-deploy sa isang remote area, tapos di niya alam yung culture ng society na yun, na kumbaga mukhang libak na term. Then, kumbaga, ginawan siya ng storya ng mga parents kasi hindi siya gusto. Then, na-hurt si teacher, no? Naging emotionally imbalanced yung teacher. Kaya, na-kompromiso din yung the way siya mag-teach. But, if you are self-aware teacher, if you know yourself na, I know myself, na hindi ko kailangan makinig sa sinasabi ng iba kung sino ako. So, you will not compromise the learning of your students. Next, we have get to know your learners. No? It is very important to know your learners because if you don't know your learners, how are you able to teach them with the knowledge and skills that they need? All learners in your school are unique individuals, so use that fact to build a diverse and inclusive culture. They are different from each other, but it doesn't mean na may nakakalamang at may mas nakakababa sa kanila. They are still equal. Next slide, please. There's our create a class norms. What is class norms? In your own words.
Policies.
Yes, Tumanda.
Rules.
Okay, it is about the rules of the classroom. Class norms that provide openness is set. This includes being respectful to others, being able to share ideas, opinions, and values openly, and learning to disagree respectfully. Creating a class norms, no? It is, kumbaga, you will set a standard on how you as a teacher and your students will communicate, will interact with the whole class. For they might have openness to each other. How are they going to respect them using polite words? So this belongs to the class norms. We have also the culturally relevant teaching. This pedagogy provides a framework which exposes learners to cultural variances in deep, meaningful ways, and at the same time prioritize academic excellence to all the students. No, we must also need to adapt to the culture of the community. Kanina ko pa ito sinasabi kasi if we teach them from a different cultural perspective, the learning must not be effective to them because they believe na bakit yung ganito sa bahay okay lang to tapos pagdating sa school hindi. Kailangan kumbaga maging connected yung basic learning nila sa kanilang tahanan at yung tinuturo mo sa paaralan with priority, with also the priority of the academic excellence to students. Di talaga yan, importante hindi yan mawala. Then, another is purposeful planning. If a particular topic or idea for discussion is sensitive, it would be good to select proper text or material to be used. The ways of facilitating the discussion, which would encourage active listening and respecting to opinion. Like for example, kumbaga how we call this one? In the reproductive health, no, of our country, it is a very kumbaga sensitive topic because we are a Christian country and we believe that kumbaga killing babies is a sin, no? It's a sin. Not a magic syrup, it's a sin. No? And so if we discuss this to students, no, they might think na ay mali pala si mama, mali pala si Juan. No, we must learn to adopt, no, kung how are we going to tackle to them this kind of sensitive ideas. But kumbaga hindi rin natin pwedeng itago sa kanila the reality of this kind of topic. Let's like this. Everybody read.
The teacher can use different teaching strategies to address the different needs of the learners.
So, kanina ko po sinasabi na meet the diverse learning needs of students, no? Different learners means different learning needs. So, if we teach them, kumbaga, ay, itong class na to gusto ko lang magpahinga, ako as a teacher. Bibigyan ko lang sila ng isang activity, pababasahin ko sila tapos sasagutan ko sa kanila, okay na. No, hindi ganun yung kind of teaching na gusto natin mangyari. We must go deeper with that, no? Kanang ibigay natin yung diverse needs ng students, hindi lang yung kung ano yung available. Next slide. Then, community involvement. Everybody read.
Parents, family members, community, representatives, invited as resource person in class.
Community involvement. So, di ba, if the class, school year will start, no? There are meetings na involve yung parents, no? In this way, we can communicate with the community and know what is their norms, their cultural values, and by also having this kind of kumbaga gathering, no, we can be considered as a gathering, no, the gathering of the parents and their guardians. Diba? We can talk to them na, is your student good at this, no? Is their student excel at this type of fun? Then we can also know their special needs. If the student have a kumbaga may special na pangangailangan, mayroon siyang belong siya sa sped class ba? Tama ba? So, next slide please. Now, we will have an activity. Do you know the game, the boat is sinking?
Yes.
You didn't know the boat is sinking?
No.
So, ganito kasi yan. Boat, for example, kindly run
The chair.
the chair.
And if I get the chair.
This game will, ganito kasi, ganito siya play. The boat is sinking. Group yourselves according to the color of your uniform. Diba? Yung lahat, the color of your skin. So, lahat na magkakapareho ng color, doon sila magiging white as well. So, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, go.
Yes, we are.
I like that.
Everybody's done.
Everybody stands naman.
Find your crush.
The boat is sinking. Group yourselves according to the color of your shoes.
Ba't may iba doon?
Brown and the brown.
Wala na nagkipad ko. So, the boat is sinking. Group yourself according to your sex.
According to the
Okay. The boat is sinking. Group yourself according to the color of your hair. The boat is sinking. Group yourself according to your height. That's it.
Masyadong
according to your age.
Diba? By that simple activity, we are able to know or differentiate our differences from each other. But that doesn't mean that if we are different, no, we are lower or higher than them. No, we are still equal to each other. Understand?
Yes.
So let's